Happy hump day. Welcome back. I still have not got my wallpaper yet, but it's coming. Wait till you see the wallpaper I picked out. It's fabulous. Okay, we got a lot to discuss this week. Let's get into it. Hello, world. Come inside the Dear Juju podcast. I wanted to start off by saying a lot of you that don't live in Los Angeles might have exhaustion from all the posts of the LA fires. And I'm going to get real for a second. LA is my home. I came from Texas and I was always a little bit different, right? Where all the girls were like, what sorority are you rushing? I was like, I'm not rushing a sorority. I'm not even going to school. They were like, you're not going to go to school? What are you going to do? And I said, I'm going to go to LA and become a professional dancer. They all looked at me like I was a three-headed lizard, right? And because of that, in those situations, I also had an alcoholic father that left when I was 12. And, I grew up in the suburbia of Texas where everyone was just so nice. And I was angry. I was pissed. When as a young kid, I felt different. I felt misunderstood. I also won a lot with my dance and my cheering, so I was extremely driven and had a passion, and it didn't seem like anyone else was really passionate about anything or understood anything. I always wore really different clothing, and I just always seemed, and it's not like I'm, someone on the extreme of this, but I always felt misunderstood in the city that I grew up in. And LA for me, when I was 16, I got awarded a dance scholarship there. So my mom took an extra job because she was a single mom at that time so that she could take me that summer to LA. So I knew, it's deep. I knew how much that trip meant to me, meant to her, meant to my family. God, why am I crying at the beginning of this? There was a dance studio called The Edge. And little 16-year-old Juju, those doors opened to the elevator. You heard the bass, boom, 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 of all these different studios playing music. And in the hallway, it was like a scene out of Fame. People of all different ethnicities, backgrounds, genders, growing up were stretching. It smelled like BO and Badussi. It stunk, but it was sweat, and you would look in, and sometimes there would be so much condensation because it was cold and it was hot outside and people were sweating inside the dance studios, and you had to do a circle, and you could just see other dancers and artists just pouring their heart out on the dance floor and in the mirror and using their body and their brain to dance to music. And it was a place where all the renegades, the dreamers, the people that felt like outcasts in their small towns in America went to go just dance their heart out. And being from a broken home is a very sore subject. I don't know if you gathered that with these tears that are falling like waterfall. So in that moment, in that dance studio, in that city, I felt home. My mom was asking me how was it? And I just looked at her and I said, I'm home. And she said, I thought so. She knew. Her line of me growing up was, where did you come from? We have been going through something here about a week before Christmas. What great timing. The reason why we came here was for an opportunity for my husband. We're in a new country and we're only here for this job opportunity. I just got my kids in school. They just met kids from school. They just did their preliminary things. They got accepted. We found a house. We spent one day in this house. One night before we learned of the news. The studio came in, and after them doing months and months of work, they decided that they wanted a changing of the guards. They decided to let him go from that situation, and it was a punch to the gut. And so at the end of this month of January, he will be officially let go off. It was very interesting spiritually to get that rug pulled out underneath us, and we always thought, okay, if we can't, then we'll just go back home. right? We don't want to. We want to stay here. We want to be here. We have a feeling that this is where we're supposed to be because the invisible hand has scooped us up and dropped us off and put us here. We didn't ask to be here. We said yes to the divine opportunity. And then my kids had a shift of like, they're super happy here. There's no guns here. I don't have to worry when they go to school if they have to do a drill. Like, there's so much to offer. And we were so happy. So on the heels of that, then to have the LA fires, it was like theoretically you got in a ship and you sailed away from your home to go have a new adventure. And as you're turning back and waving goodbye, still processing that, your home burns down. And I know that it's not something that happened to us physically. It did happen to friends. And the one thing after being in bed for days when that happened, it said, do for one person what you wish you could do for everyone. And first I had to heal that kind of thing with home and realize that that was an unconscious pattern that I was working from and redefine what home meant. Home is inside me. It's God. It's in the invisible. It's the place I will return to and we all will return to after this life. That's home. Home is indestructible because it's a forever situation of the infinite intelligence that we all come from. It's not this physical world because as we know, things in this physical world come and go. That's just how it is. So that kind of spirituality and listening to the power of now and Eckhart Tolle and redefining that really helped me. And then to be honest, I actually felt guilty that we moved to London just a few weeks before this happened. That could have been us. Why were we saved? Why? And you just kind of, your brain can't make sense of all that's happening. And then I thought to myself, well, it wasn't us. And how much would someone whose house burnt down would love to be in this situation where they sold their house and everything in it and then moved to a different city and were spared. And then I thought to myself, I have to live my life to the fullest so that it's not in vain that for whatever reason that we got out of there a few months before the fires. Because our plan, I'm not going to lie to you, was to stack the money from this job, go home, possibly. If we liked it here, stay here. But if for some reason we didn't like it here and want to return home, go back home and buy a home in Altadena. That was our plan. And life happens when you're making plans. And the city got hard for entertainers the past 2 years. COVID hit it hard, all the homelessness. Then the strikes hit it hard with double strikes. And when we got this opportunity, as we were packing up and leaving, I kind of told people, oh, he got a film opportunity to shoot his first film in London with one of the biggest studios. Every single person in that city was like, oh my God, you're so lucky. My wife is a production designer and they haven't worked in 6 months. My husband's an editor, Normal people in the business in Glendale, where we were, which is right at the foothills of Altadena. My son went to school in Altadena. And I think his school is spared, but the kids that went to his school, I don't know about all their homes, and I don't see those families being able to bounce back from that. And so I just don't think, as much as I love LA, it's like a lover that you lost because it's not the same city that I fell in love with. And I don't think we're supposed to be there anymore. And I gave financially to the few that I wish I could do for everyone. And I just have to move on with the fact that that is not my home anymore, which is hard to come to terms with. I mean, I was there for 23 years. It's like being in a 23-year marriage, and then that person you don't even recognize, and that person you guys have just grown apart, and they've made choices and changes that have affected them. I'm not going to get into political, but that's what I mean, that have driven that city to what it is now, which is something that we can no longer be in, even though I love it so much. I wanted to give my perspective, my 2 cents, what it meant to me, and I wanted to be honest about the situation that we went through. Sorry it wasn't funny. One of the other realizations that I had is that laughter heals on a cellular level. And right now, the world just needs so much laughter. Sometimes you just got to keep it real. And sometimes real is not very funny. And let me tell you something. When that happened to us, I don't know what kind of person you are, but I'm going to tell you the kind of person I am. I cannot stand victimhood, where it's like our visas rely on them, our income relies on them, the fact if we get to keep this house or not comes from them. Like that puts you in a place of just complete abandonment of yourself. And you're like, hold on. I'm a 41-year-old woman that is completely competent. We can make this work. We're staying here. We feel like we're meant to be here. This is where we're supposed to be right now. And what we're going to do is we're not going to give our power away to agents, studio producers, lovers, mothers, friends. Don't ever give your power away. And when you're in a position of feeling like that you're powerless or helpless, something inside me just starts to get a fire, and I'm like, we need to figure things out. We need to figure out how to get income for ourselves. We need to figure out how to turn this into a business, start a business, get ideas, get going, get out there. Do I need to open up a dance school for kids? Like, what do we need to do? Because I will 5, 6, 7, 8. So I am standing on my own 2 feet, not giving my power away. Okay. You can take the dog out the fight, but you can't take the fight out the dog. And I just start to get going, who they gonna tell? They're not in charge of us. God put us here, and God will provide. And you know what? Faith without works is dead, so let's get to work. And that's what made me start to do my podcast. I was like, you know what? Turn it on. We don't have the wallpaper. We don't have this. We don't have that. Things aren't figured out, but we're starting, because you start. That's what you do. From the gospel of Dirty Dancing, no one puts baby in the corner, okay? And no one puts Juju in the corner. I'll get out my red fur and I will Shantae out of this situation. Let's go. Let's use our brain. Let's fight. Let's get it together. Even if you can't connect with that and the LA fires, I hope you can connect to sometimes life just punches you in the gut, And sometimes it's twice. It's about who you are in those moments and what you can conjure inside of you to tell life, no, I'm boss. You got that? Thank you. And that is the gospel of Juju. And lastly, yesterday I shot with Luland. Do you guys know her? She's a fabulous middle-aged, I think I'm middle-aged too. She's 54, I'm 41. And Julia Clancy, who's also 54, designer. Luland is as she calls herself, an accidental influencer, where she's all about women empowerment and just owning it. She came from where she disowned it in her former marriage. Her marriage crumbled, and now she's on a new awakening. And it's a beautiful story. Never lose yourself. I was like, I get it, can't quite relate because I've always stayed true to me, but I love her. I love her message. I love Julia Clancy. It was really nice to go into the city in Leicester Square, go into a real podcast studio at a radio station. It's major. It's on global radio, and it was so fun. And afterwards, we went to this place called the Broadwick Hotel. And I have been looking forward to going to this hotel for months. Everyone has been sending me, when you go to London, you got to go here because their interior decor, their Instagram, their socials is all gorgeous. And when I went in, I was even a little at the decor. It was so beautiful and done so right. And maximalism, but tastefully. But however good the decor was how horrible the service is. I'm like, you guys, you are giving me just pretty face. Our waiter asked for our drink order 3 times. Then someone else had to come back and take it again. When it came wrong. They overcharged our bill. Mess of a service, but fabulous to look at. Now, I will be making a reservation upstairs and seeing if the management has got it together up there, because this was just like the little hotel bar area. So maybe there was a changing of the guard. It was in mid-afternoon. I'm going to try to give them the benefit of the doubt, have very low expectations, but go upstairs. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, Google or look up Broad, Broad, Wick, Wick, Soho. You guys, the interior design is just everything. It's just everything. I want a patterned couch so bad, but patterned couches for some reason are so much more expensive than just, because everyone wants a plain colored couch and then patterned cushions. And I want a patterned couch and plain cushions. Of course, I'm always a little different, but it's more expensive. So when I get a patterned couch, that's when you know I've made it with fringe. I want fringe at the bottom. All right, and with all that, let's get into some domestic goddess, shall we? There's this little Danish pastry shop on the high road. And the other day, my son was like, can I have a cookie? Can I have a cookie? I was like, yes, let's go in here and have a cookie. I got a chocolate chip cookie, but it wasn't just a chocolate chip cookie. It was chocolate chip hazelnut, Nutella in cookie form. You guys, it was incredible. Incredible. Probably the best combination cookie I've ever had. I'm like, why are we not doing that? Why are we not doing hazelnut chocolate chip cookies? A little bit of the nuttiness, the creaminess, the chocolate. Next time you make chocolate chip cookies, go to the store and pick up some hazelnuts too. Chop those in and put them in. Chop them in half, because these were in half and you still had the nut, and it was divine. Chocolate chip hazelnut cookies, that's it, okay? That's it. It's the one. Upgrade your chocolate chip and put a nut in there, okay? Put them nuts in your mouth and you'll go, this I can never come back from. And I'll say, I told you so. Told you. Cocktails, clover leaf. Are you guys ready? I had one of these. I'm going to tell you what's in it. It's something that you have to make. It's half an ounce Chambord, half an ounce fresh lemon juice, an ounce of a pasteurized egg white. Just stay with me. 2 ounces of gin and a garnish of a mint leaf. It's got the foam on top from the egg white, the gin and the grenadine and the lemon juice. Very simple, very delicious. Delicious. I would actually consider that almost an aperitivo cocktail because it gets the digestive tract so good with the lemon juice, and then the grenadine gives it a little sugar, and then the gin. It was fabulous. So if you've never had a clover leaf, next time you see it out, or if you're feeling frisky at home, make you a clover leaf. 4-leaf clover, honey. It'll bring you a little luck. Decor. The difference between the UK and the US is UK, for some reason, the style here is to have tiny ass lamps. Now me, I like vintage lamps because I love big lamps. Like I love the lamps from the 60s and the 70s and the 50s because those mid-century lamps were huge. They were like pieces of jewelry. And here, all the lamps are literally a foot high or 18 inches. They are the tiniest little lamps. I don't know what's going on with the little lamp situation here, but it's something that I'm not into. I am not into the little lamps. I am into the big fucking American mid-century, give me a lamp, honey. I need light. I want it to be gold and have some kind of things on it. And I really thought, oh, when I go to the Kempton Flea Market, I'm going to find some bigger lamps. Maybe it's just a thing of like all these new lamps are small. Even the old lamps are small. A little lamp, maybe if it's in a kitchen and it's cute and it's surrounded and it's got like maybe, but not in a living room. Do you want a lamp this big? Like, give me some lamps. Give me some light. Bring it on. If it's a phallic shape, I like it frickin' big, period. But I will say what I love about the UK is their use of pattern and color. They are into pattern, they are into color. They love to mix it, switch it, change it, rearrange it. They are not afraid of color. They're not afraid of something big, bright, and bold when it comes to that situation. So what they lack in lamps, they make up for in chutzpah. All right, now let's get into some Q&A with some TNA. We got some questions this week. Dear Juju, I love entertaining at home. Having a dinner party is my happy place. Oh my God, me too. But my question for you is more style focused. What is the one piece that every domestic goddess needs in her closet? I mean, hello, I created a whole line off of it. You need a glamour gown. And let me tell you why. The glamour gown has a hip seam so you can see the booty. It moves beautifully. It's got a deep V where you can see the cha-chas. It's in these gorgeous luxe materials, perfect for throwing on at a dinner party. That's why I made them. I went back and forth. I was like, do I call it hostess gown or glamour gown? And in an attempt to kind of include more people, I called it a glamour gown so that people know that they can wear it outside of hosting in their home. But that's genuinely the heart of why I made my gown. And some are still available on my website, shopdearjuju.com. Now, of course, I think it should be mine because mine has the hip seam and the low V to show the cha-chas, covers your arms, easy with the waist. You know, you can eat a little much and it'll all still be very comfortable and hidden and glamorous. But if you don't want to buy mine, just make sure you get yourself a caftan-esque something that's easy to throw on for a dinner party, because the best part about a caftan is that it's loose, it's comfortable, it's free flowing. So get you something that you can sit down, eat, and enjoy your food, but still looking fabulous in. And the best one is a Dear Juju glamour gown. Okay? Who would I be if I didn't plug my own shit? Dear Juju, I love your podcast and I'm so glad that you're back. I'm so glad to be back. My question is a last minute gathering. The other day I threw one and I found myself scrambling around the kitchen like a chicken with their head cut off. How do I razzle dazzle for a gathering that happens last minute? First of all, don't stress yourself out, okay? If the gathering is last minute, I would absolutely order food and just say, I'm ordering. Then I would spend the time buying good wine or making a cocktail and getting your cocktails together and getting your table together. There's a saying, right? Time, quality, money. Pick two, not three. So if it's time and quality, it's going to cost you money. And the same thing with the last minute gathering. You can't look amazing, cook the food, set the table, have cocktails, have the house clean, have your vagina wax. Like, it's a whole thing. Don't do that. Order food, set the table, make the cocktail, light the candles, take a shower, right? Like, something's got to give. And for me, it should be the ordering of a food. Maybe it could be something like, this is your favorite restaurant and you're introducing them to the mom and pop restaurant down the street. And you're like, guys, this is my favorite. They do amazing things. Da, da, da. And I feel like it's still an entertaining and a loving thing because you're introducing them to something that they don't know, or you're like, this is my favorite restaurant, I've been craving it. It can be something like that where you're still taking care of and giving a perspective, but you don't have to cook. You don't have to be married, do it all. And you looking like a chicken with your head cut off makes your guests really uncomfortable. And I think that's something that should be said. I have gone to parties where the hosts look like a chicken with their head cut off, and it was just like, I would have pitched in to order food and actually talk to you rather than you running around looking like a crazy person, because it's not giving the vibe. It's not giving the energies. So just make it easy, be effortless. If cocktails is too much and you can only have time for table and getting a shower in, do that and then just open a bottle of wine. You know what I mean? Like, do what you can, because being present, I think, is better for your guests than being perfect. That was deep. Oh, shit. Dear Juju, thanks for being back, and I have a twofer for you. Okay. How do I juggle being queen of my domain and still making time for myself? Also, how can I make my home feel luxurious without breaking the bank? Thank you so much. Love your podcast. Oh, I love you. So to the first question, being queen of your domain and still making time for yourself, it's like anything. You got to schedule it out. It takes a little bit of effort to schedule, but you got to schedule it out. First of all, I would hire someone to clean your house for you once a week, once every other week, once a month, anything that you can afford, and take a little bit of stress off that. And then next, every day do something to keep it up so that it doesn't get too overwhelming. And then I always say, work hard, play hard. So if I work hard and I get all the things I need done, I cook the dinner, I do the things, I did the laundry, then I have 2 hours before my kids pick up where I'm going to go to the spa, or where I'm going to go take a little time for myself and do a little wandering or a workout or things like that. You will always feel better about carving out time for yourself once your chores are done, right? And I think it's just going to take a little bit of schedule and a little bit of management. Second question, how do you make your home feel glamorous without breaking the bank? I will tell you right now, because my lower level, my kitchen area has felt funky. That is my domain. That's where I get all my mojo and my energy. Down here is not giving what I need it to give. And right now we're on a pause with buying because our funds, but I did get a $20 vase that's clear on the top and gold on the bottom. And I bought myself $12 flowers and I put it in the center of my kitchen. They're lilies. They're my favorite flower. They smell amazing. When you start to walk downstairs, you can start to smell their beautiful essence. And they look beautiful. They feel beautiful. The vase feels glamorous. And that was with $12 grocery store bought flowers. Take your room, okay? The room that you're in now. Imagine if you had a vase and your favorite flower, just one. Doesn't have to be an arrangement because that costs money. If you love pink roses or yellow roses, buy one single type of flower and put it in a vase and see how different you feel. It's glamorous, it's on a budget, but plants do something. They give you energy. Even cut flowers, I feel like it just beautifies your space in a way that nothing else can. So that's my biggest tip because I just lived it. Go get you a gorgeous vase, even if it's at a thrift store, that you just love for $5. Go stop at a Goodwill if you're in the States or, an op shop here if you're in the UK and get yourself a vase and then buy yourself a single kind of flower. If it's all lilies, if it's all roses, if it's all tulips, all that kind of monochromaticness looks really chic and a great way to elevate your space on a budget. All right, that's the podcast. When life tries to get you down, I hope that you can look in the mirror and show life who is boss, okay? You are life. You are living. Life is you. You are the boss of it. And you just let them know. You find that inner chutzpah, you find that inner gusto, and you just go with it, baby. I love you. You're a star. I'll see you next week. I hope my wallpaper will be in. Mwah!